Hello guys, Guago here. I'm gonna be going over the patch notes for patch 14.4. I'm gonna try to make this brief, and I'm also gonna give my comment when I feel it's necessary. This is so you don't have to read the patch notes, now that Mordog is no longer doing this. Yeah. So for systems, PvE loot. Generally lower the amount of loot you get from PvE rounds, and Scuttle Puddle no longer adds 2 additional components. For PvE loot, it's one less component in general that you can expect, and then in rare cases, you can get one less silver or blue orb per game. This should make it so it's harder to itemize your secondary carry, or if you prioritize too many offensive components, it's going to be harder to find items for your tank before the full item carousels. Black Market Hack, this is the one that gives you more powerful augments, slightly increased odds of it appearing on 2-1, just trying to make the early game rounds or early game games, I guess, more fun. Golem Armory Hack, this is the one that lets you choose between 3 golems, where almost always the wrong choice was to go for gold, so they removed the gold generating golem, and they added the new RNG golem, or Iron golem. This golem is equipped with a random emblem, radiant item, and artifact. Those are random, those are not tailored as per the post. So be careful. It's if you're really ahead, I guess you can take it, but random emblem, radiant item, and artifact, they could be completely they could have zero correlation between one another and your board. And then egg hack, the 13-round egg got buffed. It was previously worse than the 9-round egg in my opinion, so this is good. Traits, Cypher. Cypher is getting more AD and AP after the cash out when you have 4 or 5 Cypher on your board. The goal is to see more 4 and 5 Cyphers. They want to see more LeBlanc and Vi. I try to make some of those boards work while tier crafting. It's hard, it's tough. I don't know if this buff is big enough, but the idea is that. Divinicore, they're trying to make Divinicore vertical more playable, so think early set Divinicore emblem Seb. That's the thing that they're trying to buff here. The first, second, third, and fourth Divinicore tiers stay the same, and then the fifth one gets a slight buff, sixth one gets a pretty big buff, and then seventh gets also a pretty big buff. So this should make those vertical Divinicore comps more playable, I guess. It should also increase the value of the Divinicore emblem. Golden Ox. Golden Ox is getting base damage amplification, whatever, I guess. Nitro, they want to see more of those 4 Nitro, since Nitro right now is underperforming, apparently. Not apparently, they are underperforming. So they're buffing the laser. So laser should now deal way more damage. Just by looking at the numbers, it looks better. I don't know if this is going to be enough, but definitely try out Nitro. Techies, they are getting a buff on their vertical tiers. I don't think this is going to make a huge change to techies, but it is true that vertical techies are barely played, so hopefully this makes them better. Vanguard are getting a buff to its vertical as well. There's definitely a trend here. All of the verticals are getting buffed, or the underplayed verticals are getting buffed. So they want to see more 6 Vanguards. Think Aphelios Saya with 4 Vanguards frontline, but instead of playing those 2 extra marksmen, maybe you play 2 extra Vanguards. Or if you get a Vanguard emblem, that has a bit more value now. Moving on to champions, for one cost, we got Cogmo. Cogmo is getting a 3 AD increase. This is base AD. So what this means is items are going to be more useful on Cogmo now. I think between Cogmo and Kindred, usually Kindred gets itemized, or Jin if you get a Jin too. Like Cogmo is usually not the unit you itemize unless it's the only unit you have, and so this should make Cogmo a bit better in the early game, and a bit better as a carry overall. Champions, moving on to 2 cost, we got Nafiri with a nerf to her. I think it's a her. Alpha damage. Now, alpha damage is this is targeting the part of her spell that scales with AMP. This is not targeting her spell as a standalone unit, I guess, but this is the part that scales with AMP. So it's making specifically AMP Naafiri worse, which is fine. I think Naafiri is dealing way too much damage to too many targets. Like, she can one-shot a champion and like do half of the other champion's health in one cast. So this should make Naafiri feel a bit more fair to play against, I guess. Shyvana as well as Illaoi, I'm gonna pair them in the same category. They're getting a buff, pretty decent buffs for both. I think they're trying to make Bastions a bit better. They're always, or in my opinion, they're almost always worse than Vanguards. Early game and late game, you don't really see the 2-cost Bastions. Not even in techies do you play Shyvana. Most of the time she gets replaced unless you're playing Veigar. Skarner is also getting a buff. I think Skarner was in a pretty decent place, but apparently he's getting a buff. That's fine. I don't think it's going to be problematic. And then TF is getting a nerf to her empowered card damage. This is something that got buffed last patch, or not directly, but TF was moved from an attack speed carry into like attack speed but also AP. That's why Archangels was better on TF this patch. He was stealing too much burst, so now the idea is that he's not gonna one-shot units as often, and as a consequence of this, AP items are worse on him, and Gunblade is gonna heal for less because you're gonna be dealing less damage, obviously. I think it was deserved. TF was pretty strong. So 2 of the main 2-cost carries nerfed, and then some supportive frontline units buffed for 2-cost. 3-cost, only 1 unit got changed, and that's Elise. It's a slight increase, or a slight buff to her mana. I say slight, but with units that build mana items, especially with dynamos who get mana, a 5 mana buff is, yeah, I shouldn't say slight. This is significant, because for a unit that is expected to cast like, what, 7 times plus per fight, a 5 mana buff is huge. I've already seen people suggesting that Elise and Prom are a viable combo. I haven't seen it yet myself. I haven't played that much this new patch, but definitely keep an eye out for Elise. This buff, plus remember that Nitro is getting buffed, and a bit of a spoiler, I think Dynamo is getting a small buff as well. Champions, 4-cost. Vex getting a slap on the hand. She was really strong. She will continue to be strong, I think, but this nerf was definitely needed. Seri gets an attack speed increase, which for a unit like Seri is really good. And I'm gonna talk about Misfortune as well. She's getting a 3 AD increase. Same thing with Cogmo. It's gonna make her it's gonna make itemizing her more viable. They're trying, from what I gathered, to make MF and Seri a viable duo carry comp. So they're buffing both at the same time and trying to make that happen. Definitely keep an eye out for MF Seri duo carry. I think it was played last patch a little bit, but it wasn't as huge. Nico is getting a mana nerf, so she's gonna be shielding less, so that means she's gonna be less tanky. I think that's fine. Nico was a bit problematic in my opinion. And then Brand is getting some interesting changes. So the intent overall, from what I saw, like from what I read on the post, was to make Brand's spell feel more impactful, delaying the intervals between one cast and the next. What I mean by this is, yes, they're nerfing the starting mana, and they're also making it so his mana lock is normalized, and now the ability arrives at the target after 0.75 seconds. The idea is that if the units are far away, the ult is going to reach them faster, but also your mana lock is going to start not as fast as before. Basically, you're going to be properly mana locked for the entire duration of the cast. The cast, I think, is long on purpose, and they want him to start getting mana after the cast is done. Brand's ult deals a lot of damage. It's a nuke. You can compare it to Varus, 4-cost Varus Pyro. It's almost the same, and it is impactful, but Brand is casting a bit too much per fight. That's apparently what they're trying to get at here. The ability arriving at targets faster if they're far away should make Brand feel better to play as well. Less frustrating, I guess. Champions. For 5 cost, Kobuko is getting a buff to 3-star, so who cares? The big one is Renekton. So they're buffing the mana for Renekton. Remember, Renekton gets 2 casts. The first one makes him bigger, and then the second one makes him even bigger. Per ability cast, you're getting less damage. So this, when it says ability cast, this is how much damage you're dealing. So you used to deal 300% of your AD, and then 30, this is a base number, plus 40% of your AP, so almost nothing. Now you're dealing 100% of your AD, which is a nerf. This should be red, I think. But you're dealing 260 base damage, so you're gaining 230 base damage per ability cast. That's a lot. Like, getting that much of a base damage buff on any unit is insane. That's why they're removing so much of the AD here. They're removing AD, so you gain it here. And then AP is going from 40 to 400. I don't entirely get this. I think it's so when you play Morgana with Renekton, the AP from Morgana is not wasted. 400 seems like a lot. There are comps that play Renekton with 2 techies and Morgana, namely Vex. So Renekton is getting AP from sources, and 400 is a lot. And also, there's an item, Hand of Justice. It gives AD and AP, and it gives a decent amount of AP. So I think Hand of Justice on Renekton, like 2 of them, is going to be really good, because 400 AP increase is no small deal. Also, getting such a big base damage increase means that Renekton without items is going to feel better. Usually when you get Renekton, you're not able to immediately itemize him. At most, you might finish the game with like 1 or 2 items on him or Thief's Gloves. So this will make Renekton feel more impactful even when you don't have items to give him, which is, I think, what a 5 cost should do. Also, HP on cast, he's going to be getting 100 extra HP on cast at 2-star. So this is at 2-star. 1-star, he's getting the same. 2-star, he's getting 100 extra. And he's casting twice per fight. So yeah. Hopefully he's casting twice per fight. The double strike AD. So whenever Renekton is a weird unit. So whenever Renekton ults, for the first time, all of his auto attacks become double strike. So each auto attack is 2 auto attacks. The AD scale goes up by 5%. When he ults for the second time, all of his auto attacks, instead of being doubled, they're tripled. And that's going up by 30%. So if you can get a Renekton 2 to cast twice, and that Renekton has items, I don't know, he's going to be insanely strong. Yes, he's getting a big nerf on the AD front, but Hodge, just Bill Hodge, I think. Definitely watch out for Renekton. Moving on to augments, silver, we got adaptive strikes. This is the Jax hero augment. Jax is going to be getting extra shield, and also he's going to be getting extra damage on his ability. Okay, hopefully this makes him playable, but not too playable. I'm not fond of hero augments, but that's just my opinion. Wolf Unchained, Silas, health gain, it's going up by quite a bit. This is good. Silas is supposed to cast multiple times per fight, or expected to cast multiple times per fight, so this is pretty sizable. And then the base damage is also going up by quite a bit. Both of those augments are, I would say, almost unpickable right now, so it's good that they're getting buffed, and at least now when you get them, it's not like you have one less choice on your hero, on your augment choice. Preparation Silver is getting 10 extra HP per stack. I'm a big fan of Prep. I hope that this makes it better. And with Nitro getting stronger this patch, yeah, definitely, I don't know, keep an eye out for Preparation plus Nitro. Moving on to Gold, 1 out of 2. There's 2 pages for Gold, starting with 10,000 IQ. It grants a Yumi and an Echo instead of a LeBlanc and an Echo. This is really good because Yumi is really good. And it's obviously good because it's giving you 1 extra gold worth of value. Also, the guaranteed gold reward is it goes from 2 to 8, so that's pretty big. And the item reward, instead of being a random completed item, it's a completed item anvil. This is good because for AMP, or not AMP, for strategist, sometimes until you get to Samira, it was hard to justify getting like an AD item. Yes, you can play it on Naafiri, but sometimes you play strategists without Naafiri, so they letting you choose the item is overall like a pretty big buff. Bronze for Life 1 getting a 0.5 increase on damage amp per trait. Hopefully some Bronze for Life comps come to life. We haven't seen many of them, and this is a very cool augment in my opinion. Climb the Ladder 2 is getting a nerf on the stats. I think this is very logical because if you remember at the start of the video, a lot of vertical comps are getting buffed. And so Climb the Ladder, I guess, is getting a preemptive nerf, but also this was really strong on things like Anima Squad, on things like Street Demon, so it's definitely warranted. I don't think it's completely preemptive, I think this is warranted. 7 Night Implants 2 no longer appears on 2-1. This was a really, really bad augment to take at the start because you need items to make this work at the start. At most, you can itemize like, 3 units if you split all of your components, but it's better to make an item. So yeah, it's just terrible to take on 2-1, and it's getting removed so you don't get baited. Flatline, the execution threshold is getting reduced from 12% to 10%. Things like Collector execute at 12%. Things like the Exotech item that executes, I forget the name, they execute at 12%. This executing at 12% was like getting a Collector on every unit, so it going down to 10%, I feel like it makes sense. I'm all for this change. Golemify is getting a nerf to its HP and AD. I think that's fine. I don't like Golemify, so it getting nerfed, I like it. It definitely felt a bit strong. High Score, this is getting nerfed, even though it's not red. No longer grants cyber bosses attack speed per high score. This is really big. Attack speed was a pretty important stat on Kobuko, on Veigar, and on 6, so them no longer gaining attack speed, pretty big nerf. And then the rewards are slightly reduced. I don't know what this means. I mean, yes, they're getting reduced, but I don't know what is getting reduced. I assume you still get both 6 and Kobuko out of this augment, but other rewards might be getting reduced. High Voltage is getting a nerf to its damage increase. I think stacking Sparks with High Voltage was genuinely a valid strat. Not a lot of people did it, but yeah, this is getting reduced. It's gonna make the early game of High Voltage a bit weaker as well, I think. And then Hostile Takeover is getting banned on Double Up. Apparently it was too strong on Double Up. I don't play enough Double Up to know this, but if it's getting banned, then that probably means it was too strong. Continuing with Gold, No Scout, No Pivot is getting more HP for units per turn, and also giving more AD and AP per turn to your units. It's a risky augment, and I think it getting buffed is a good decision, because a risk should justify a whatever. Perforce is getting its HP bonus reduced, but this is a change that I like a lot. Instead of granting 2 forecasts, it's granting 3 forecasts. So you're getting 4 gold on top of your augment, but also more chances of finding the forecast that you need. Preparation is getting a buff to match the Preparation 1 buff. This is Preparation 2. HP per stack going by 10. Sure, great, I like it. Spirit Link base HP regen is going down from 6% to 5%. That's it for gold augments. Moving on to Prismatic. We got Blue Battery. Instead of giving 15 AP, it's only going to give 5. This is a big nerf, but it giving you a blue buff and it being so good on units that already want blue, like this augment was insane, and it's also a black market augment. So the power spike was too big from a random event. It's just, yeah, this is a big nerf, but it's warranted. Bronze for Life 2 is getting a buff to match Bronze for Life 1. I like this. Bulky Bodies 3 is getting a nerf, 30 HP less per pair. Big nerf for bruisers, and then a decent nerf for other comps. Cybernetic Implants 3 is also getting removed on 2-1 because it was bait. Wise Spending is getting nerfed. Instead of 2 XP per reroll, is getting reduced to 3 XP per 2 rerolls. So what this means, basically, is you're getting 1 XP less per 2 rerolls. The reason why they're doing it like this, I think, from what I read, is this had really broken interactions with other augments. And then the effect only counts rerolls purchased with gold. So Wise Spending is getting a really sizable... actually, no, it's not that big of a nerf. It will be felt, but it's more so for the synergies that you could achieve with Wise Spending. Future Sight is getting disabled. Too strong, no levers to balance it, really, without touching the items themselves. So I guess it's getting removed. That's fine. No one likes to play against this, and then you have to be a turbo sweat to pick it, so good riddance. Gargantuan Resolve, it's going, the armor and MR increase is going from 50% to 80%. Hopefully this makes this augment more pickable. The problem with Gargantuan Resolve is this is in the pool of it's in the pool of black market augments, and some of the black market augments are insanely strong. So this augment has to be really good to justify taking. You also need to have a unit that can use a Titans. So it has a lot of conditions. I think it's deserved. It's a big buff, but I think it's deserved. Hard Commit, it grants 3 gold on selection and on every stage. That's fine. I like that. High-end shopping, the gold granted goes from 6 to 12. So decent buff to high-end shopping. Again, this is a black market augment, so it should be strong. And this is a big buff, but it's a black market augment. Remember, 2-1 black market augments are more likely to appear now. So Blue Battery, Gargantuan, you can see those at the start, high-end shopping. It's gonna, like, those augments appearing on 2-1 are gonna allow you to plan around the augments that you're taking, if that makes sense. Like, if you get Gargantuan Resolve on 2-1, you know that you're gonna want to play towards a Titans user. For example, Shopping Spree, gold granted from 4 to 2. This is already a good augment. It was giving too much gold at the start. I assume that's why they're nerfing it. I think the augment is still gonna be decent. Moving on to small changes, 7 Anima Squad, it's getting a small buff to its armor and magic resist on 7. 4 AMP is getting less HP, and the charge power goes from 3 to 4. Wait, what? This might be... I don't know what this means, sorry, my bad. 6 Bastion, base armor and MR going from 70 to 75. 4 Dynamo, mana regen going from 10 to 11. Exotech, Flux, Capacitator, AD. This is the yellow item, the one that used to be good on Seri. The AD is growing from 20 to 25. 4 Marksman is getting a 5 AD bonus. 4 Rapid Fire is getting a 1% bonus to each stack. And then Sensory Demon, the stats are getting lowered from 70% to 16%. I think that's it. I'm not going to be going over bug fixes or anything like that. I didn't find any bug fixes that I thought were relevant. There was one, Misfortune is less likely to ult towards your bench, which is, yeah, I guess it's pretty good. But yeah, this is it for now. If you guys like what I'm doing here, if you guys like this format, let me know, please. And I'll be seeing you in the next patch.